Hey everybody, welcome to Glacier Online. My name is Josh. This week we are continuing our series called Love God and Love Others. We've talked about someone named Hannah and how she loved God by giving God something that was valuable to her. We've learned about somebody named Joseph and how he loved other people by forgiving them. And this week we're going to learn about somebody named Daniel and how Daniel loved God. But before we get started with that, here's a silly video. Alright everybody, so the game option for today is called Indoor Skee Ball, and you're only going to need two things to play this game. A plastic cup and some sort of ball that can fit inside of the plastic cup. So at one end of your room you're going to put a plastic cup on its side, just kind of laying there, and then the other side you're going to be rolling a ball to try to get it inside the plastic cup. Because the game of skee ball is that game at arcades where you roll it up a ramp and it launches into this circle of different sized rings, and you try to get it to land in the middle one. Well, you're just going to have to imagine that this cup is the middle ring of skee ball. Now you could also improve this game by adding different targets that you have to try to roll your ball into, and they can be worth different amounts of points. So I hope you enjoy Indoor Skee Ball, have fun with it, create your own way to play it. That would be awesome. Next up is the Bible video, and this week we're talking about somebody named Daniel. As you'll see in this story, Daniel is living as an exile in another country, and in the country he's living in, it is not legal for him to worship God. In fact, it's illegal for him to even pray to God. And yet he still prays to God because he loves God. He's dedicated to showing his love for God by praying. And that is part of this story that we can remember, is that a way we can love God is by being dedicated to praying to God, like Daniel was. And in this story you're going to see there's some other crazy stuff that happens, and because of Daniel's dedication to God, God ends up saving him from something crazy. So I hope you can think about what it looks like to show love through dedication this week as you watch this video. Check out the reflection questions, and we will see you next week.
This is Daniel.
Oh, hey!
Who was a Jewish man who was taken to Babylon when he was very young.
Yeah.
Daniel loved God and followed God's rules. He talked to God 3 times a day and asked God for help often. Daniel served in the Babylonian king's court for many years.
Yeah, I know him.
And under many kings.
Hey, Daniel.
Daniel always proved himself to be more capable than all the other court officials.
Thanks. Well, anytime.
Daniel was serving under King Darius, and because of his great abilities, the king made plans to place him in charge of the entire empire.
Wow, okay.
The other court officials searched for some fault in Daniel, but they couldn't find anything wrong with him. He was faithful, responsible, and completely trustworthy.
Wait.
The court officials realized the only way to get at Daniel would be to challenge his faith.
Come on.
So they went to King Darius
Excuse me, Your Majesty.
and advised him to make a law that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone except King Darius will be thrown into the lion's den.
I like it.
King Darius signed this law, and once a Babylonian king signed a law, it could not be overruled. When Daniel learned of this law, he went home and knelt down, as he always did, to pray in his room with the windows open towards Jerusalem. He prayed 3 times a day, just as he always had done, giving thanks to God and asking for his help. The officials went to Daniel's house and found him praying.
Gotcha.
They went to the king and reminded him of the law.
I remember.
Well,
Then they said that Daniel had been found praying to God 3 times a day.
What?
When the king heard this, he was very upset,
Get over here.
and he spent the whole day trying to think of a way to save Daniel.
wait, what?
By that evening, the court officials came back to the king and reminded him that no law signed by the Babylonian king could be overruled. So at last, the king gave orders for Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den. The king said to him, "May your God, who you serve faithfully, rescue you." Then the lion's den was sealed shut with Daniel inside. The king spent the night fasting and couldn't sleep. Then very early in the morning, the king hurried to the lion's den. He called out,
Hey, Daniel.
"Was your God able to rescue you from the lions?" And Daniel answered, "Long live the king! My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not hurt me, for I have been found innocent in his sight." The king was overjoyed and ordered that Daniel be taken out of the lion's den. Then the king ordered the men who had schemed against Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den as punishment. Daniel was safe. There was not a scratch on him, for he trusted in God.